Heartwarming moment. Nurse S. life-changing surprise revealed by patient S. Father, will you date me? In the heart of the city's bustling hospital, a storm brewed outside, matching the turbulence in Jessica's heart. As a nurse in her 30s, she lived and breathed for her patients. Yet, shadows of her family's financial struggles loomed over her. Her father's service-related disability left them teetering between survival and despair. This brought a weight to her steps as she navigated the bright hallways. But her spirit remained unbroken. One afternoon, she met Liam, an 11-year-old with a playful smirk that could light up the dimmest of rooms. Diagnosed with a chronic illness, he fought each day with a bravery that left Jessica in awe. His father, Mark, was a single dad in his 40s, trying desperately to keep his small landscaping business afloat while managing the overwhelming stress of medical bills. Glistening beads of worry marked his forehead, and when he caught her kindness directed at Liam, a flicker of hope ignited within him. "You're like a superhero," Liam often told her, eyes sparkling with admiration. Jessica couldn't help but feel a rush of warmth at his compliment, her heart swelling with purpose. Their bond grew steadily as days turned into weeks. Each treatment with Liam opened a new chapter of laughter, tears, and hope. And as Jessica lifted Liam's spirits through laughter, it struck Mark deeply how one person could change everything. But one rainy evening shattered their routine. Liam's health took a devastating turn, sparking a flurry of activity among the medical staff. Panic gripped Jessica as she threw herself into advocating fiercely for him, pushing for the treatments that might bring him back from the edge. Mark watched, anxiety battling admiration in his chest. Jessica's determination started to chip away at the weight of his despair, nudging him toward a painful grace. Maybe things could be all right after all. Then came an idea. In a moment of desperate gratitude, Mark decided to surprise Jessica. It was a silly, impulsive thought fueled by admiration. A simple, bold question meant to show Jessica just how much she meant to him and his son. As he gathered with other parents in the waiting area, he felt nerves bubbling up. They whispered and pointed, their eyes twinkling with mischief. And when he unveiled a hand-painted sign that read, "Will you date me?" a roar of laughter erupted, echoing in the sterile hospital walls. That moment, Jessica received the news. Liam had made a remarkable improvement. Relief washed over her, but as laughter filled the room, confusion nibbled at the corners of her heart. Mark's gesture was playful, but it pulled at deeper emotions. Questions about kindness, connection, and vulnerability raced through her mind. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mark's humor masked the complexity of his emotions. Around them, the community rallied, sharing their stories of struggle, how Jessica's kindness had impacted their lives, reckless kindness lifting their spirits. And yet, the reality of their differences, financial struggles, and societal judgments loomed above like a storm cloud. Laughter turned to heartfelt support. Jessica found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. Could she risk this connection? In the embrace of supportive smiles and quiet validation, she stole a glance at Mark, whose expression flickered between hope and despair. Her heart raced. She sensed this moment could change everything. But was she ready to leap into uncertainty? Jessica's heart pounded against her chest as she disengaged herself from the collective laughter of the waiting room. She felt like she had been thrust onto a stage, the spotlight burning bright, illuminating the thin line between her professional world and a personal connection that dangled precariously in front of her. Mark had taken a risk, a kind, light-hearted gesture meant to lift spirits, especially hers. The applause and laughter around her began to fade, becoming muffled echoes of reality. She caught Mark's eye, a mix of warmth and vulnerability there, and for a heartbeat, the world around them fell silent. Something deeper existed beneath their surface interactions and understanding, perhaps an unformed desire that was beginning to take root in her heart. Jessica. Liam's voice had a buoyancy that pulled her back to the moment. Did you see? Dad is going to ask you out. Liam, Mark interjected, a flush creeping up his neck. There was a tension in the air, a tug-of-war between playful innocence and the heavy awareness of their reality. You know, it was just a joke, but they both knew it felt bigger than a joke. Jessica's gaze swung between father and son. Mark's face held hope, and Liam's excitement was palpable. A surge of warmth spread through her, drawing her closer to both of them. A family made up not just of blood but of shared experiences, laughter, and moments of uncertainty. Liam broke the spell. But you're so nice to us, Jess. You should totally date him. His enthusiasm made her giggle, lightening the atmosphere. Still, the smile faltered on Jessica's lips as a flood of concerns washed over her. What would dating Mark mean? The challenges looming over both of their lives still pressed heavily like a weight at her back. Would it complicate the fragile connection they had built around Liam's illness? Would she even have time for a relationship? Every fiber of her being had been conditioned to focus on her patients and their well-being. Liam's right, Mark said gently, sensing her hesitation. You don't have to take it seriously. I just wanted to express my gratitude. But there is something special here. Isn't there? His voice was earnest, inviting her to reflect deeper. The gentle challenge in his words swept through her. She had leaped before, putting her heart on the line for her passengers on this ship of healing, but this was different. It was raw and unpredictable. As her thoughts danced in circles, she fought to settle her racing heart, stirring a level of fear she had long kept buried. It's complicated, Mark, she responded, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't afford to mix her heart with the chaos of their lives, could she? Mark nodded slowly, understanding but not backing down. Complicated doesn't always mean impossible. The sincerity in his gaze ignited a flicker of hope in Jessica's chest. What if? Could they build something that would shield against the storm of their realities? Maybe they could be more than just a nurse and a worried father. The notion lifted her spirits, painting the edges of her imagination in vibrant colors she had forgotten existed. As the laughter resumed, surrounding them like a warm hug, Jessica took a deep breath, allowing the possibility to sink in. What if they were meant to navigate this uncertainty together? Yet beneath that hopeful thought lingered the shadows of their burdens. And before she could frame her response, a doctor walked in, interrupting the moment, clipboard in hand. She spotted the familiar urgency in his posture and decided whatever they would say or not say, there were more decisive suits waiting to be worn. Jessica squared her shoulders, telling herself to stay focused. The questions lingered like an open book, unfinished. She glanced at Mark, resolute in his quiet encouragement, her heart tangled in possibilities. But as the doctor spoke, her mind went foggy. We need to discuss Liam's treatment options. Would the storm of their difficulties tear them apart before they even began? As she listened, the answer felt simultaneously attainable and terrifying. Would they find a way through the storm, or would they let it wash them away? The doctor's words drifted into a haze, like the distant chatter of a crowded cafe. All Jessica could hear was the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, pounding in tune with the anxiety gnawing at her. Liam's treatment options hung in the air like a heavy fog. Each option, each decision, felt like a fork in the road where futures intertwined and diverged, impossible to navigate without fear of losing her way. And if we choose to proceed with the new protocol, we need to start immediately, ideally within the next few days, the doctor continued, though his voice was now a whispering reel, muted by Jessica's racing thoughts. She forced herself to focus, fighting the overwhelming urge to retreat into that moment with Mark and Liam, the warmth of their possibility. She looked at Liam, his eyes flickering with curiosity and hope. He had that spark, the one that reminded her why she had chosen to be a nurse. He was a fighter, and he needed her. Okay, she finally said, her voice steadier now, let us talk about the options. I want to hear everything. As the doctor explained the complicated jargon of treatments, Jessica felt Mark's gaze on her, supportive and unwavering. Despite the chaos swirling around them, his eyes anchored her. Was it wrong to feel comfort in that? Could she let that comfort blossom into something more, or was she still bound by the walls she had built around her heart? When the discussion wrapped up, the doctor stepped out, leaving them in a tense silence. Jessica could see the worry etched on Liam's face as he absorbed the gravity of what lay ahead. It stung, a reminder that their laughter and hopeful glances weren't just light-hearted moments. They were the fragile threads binding them through fear, love, and uncertainty. "Hey, you okay?" Mark's voice broke through her thoughts, gentle and concerned. Jessica raised her gaze, taking a moment to let her vulnerability show. "Yeah, I'm trying to be strong for Liam. I just wish it wasn't so hard." "It is hard," he agreed, his tone laced with understanding. "But you're not alone in this. You've got us, Jess." The sincerity in his words washed away some of her trepidation, but a flicker of something deeper ignited in the space between them. Were they really becoming a unit? But as her heart dared to expand, fear clenched tightly around it. "I just worry about you both. What if I can't be what you need me to be? What if we try to make it work and it falls apart?" Mark took a step closer, lowering his voice as if sharing a secret. "Complicated doesn't mean impossible, remember? We figure it out together. You're everything to Liam, and you're becoming everything to me." Caught off guard, Jessica's breath hitched. The weight of his admission hung in the air, charged and electric. Was there truth in that? Her heart wanted to say yes, but doubt was a persistent whisper. Liam broke their gaze, a sudden smile lighting up his face. "I think you both just got all mushy. Come on, let us go grab some ice cream. It'll make us forget about all this for a little bit." The spirit of youth and innocence seeped back into their somber atmosphere, invigorating it with laughter again. Jessica chuckled, grateful for the welcome distraction. But as she looked from Liam to Mark, the echo of their connection lingered. Her heart was caught in a bittersweet dance of hope and anxiety. "All right, ice cream it is," she said, trying to lighten the moment, but the flutter of possibility didn't fade. As they left the room, hand in hand with Liam, Jessica felt that storm still breaching the horizon. Was she prepared to face it head-on? With every scoop of ice cream they indulged in, they were also nibbling at the edges of a bigger commitment simmering in the background. What would tomorrow bring? Would it deepen their bonds, or would the realities of Liam's illness pull them apart? The questions lingered, unresolved, yet painfully present, as the chill of the ice cream filled her with both sweetness and dread. And for the first time, Jessica wondered if she had the courage to step into the storm at all. The ice cream shop buzzed like a hive, a chaotic blend of laughter and chatter. Jessica's tension began to melt just as the melting ice cream dripped down the cone. She watched Liam dive into a scoop of mint chocolate chip with pure delight. It was contagious the way he cherished each bite, the way his laughter filled the space around them, transforming their worries into bits of sweetness. "Okay, Jess, what flavor are you going for?" Liam paused dramatically, raising an eyebrow at her, pretending to be a food critic. Let us see," Jessica replied, glancing at the countless choices. "Maybe I'll go for," but her words faded as she caught Mark's deep gaze again. He was watching her, keenly, almost as if he could see the struggles brewing in her mind. "Pistachio, obviously. It's classy," Liam said, spryly claiming another scoop for Jessica, his short stature embodying the spirit of youthful ambition. "Sure, you know best." She laughed, taking the cone. In this moment, under the glaring neon lights, laughter felt like her safety net. For a while, it was easier to be with them, to escape the heavy reality of tomorrow. Mark stepped up beside her, flipping the lid on his own cup of strawberry swirl. "You can never go wrong with pistachio," he said, shrugging as if the world around them didn't carry the weight of Liam's diagnosis. "See, Mark agrees. He's learning, after all." Liam teased between munches. She couldn't help but smile. And for a brief, precious moment, the heaviness faded. Yet, as the laughter subsided, the shadows of tomorrow crept back into her mind. The ice cream shop grew dimmer, the cheerful chatter around her fuzzed into silence. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what lingered. Every scoop they enjoyed was balanced by the reality that time was ticking. "Hey," Mark whispered, leaning closer. "Want to take a walk? I think we could use some fresh air." Jessica nodded, grateful for his initiative. They stepped outside, the evening breeze wrapping around them. It felt good, almost liberating, as if the fresh air could clear their minds. Liam was both oblivious and eager, leading the way down the street, ice cream cone in hand, creating tiny swirls of color against the backdrop of twinkling streetlights. "I think I should start a YouTube channel," Liam declared, ice cream smeared across his cheek. You know? A cooking show where I teach everyone how to eat ice cream in weird ways. Jessica laughed genuinely, her heart lightening again. That is a brilliant idea. Let us call it ice cream connoisseur. They continued their playful banter, but as the laughter faded, a silence fell over the three of them, heavy and unspoken. It was Mark who broke it first, pausing mid-step, turning to Jessica. I know you're feeling overwhelmed, and I want you to know I'm here for you. A rush of gratitude surged within her. She appreciated his steadiness, his willingness to face the storm even when she hesitated. But even in that moment, she felt the weight of what hadn't been said. Mark's previous admission hung in the air, still unexamined and still tinged with the possibility of something more. Still, her heart began to race not from fear, but from something else, a barely whispered expectation. Before she could voice her uncertainty, Liam's exuberance cut through the air. So what's next? Are we doing ice cream connoisseur first, or should you two go on a date? Jessica stopped in her tracks, her heart thumping in disbelief. A date? She squeaked, feeling the color flood her cheeks. Yeah, why not? Liam chuckled, eyes sparkling with mischief. You'd be perfect together. But you have to promise if you go, you're not allowed to bring any of that we have to be strong stuff. Mark looked at Jessica, amusement dancing in his eyes. But beneath that there was something more profound, a silent question lingering between them. Jessica felt a fleeting smile tugging at her lips as she processed the undeniable truth. Was she ready to embrace whatever this was? Could she allow herself to open up, to step beyond her fears, and into a new adventure? The adventure that awaited with a simple date gnawed at her heart. She stood at another crossroads, and this one felt far more personal. Courage surged within her, battling against uncertainty, and she realized she could take the leap. But would she? With every heartbeat, the air was charged with an expectation that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Jessica looked between Liam's playful excitement and Mark's hopeful gaze. What would she decide? Would she risk everything for a chance at something more? With the night sky above them and the promise of tomorrow looming, Jessica felt the weight of the moment pressed down on her shoulders. And in that moment, she couldn't help but wonder, was she ready to seize the opportunity, or would fear hold her back once more? Jessica's mind raced as she tried to catch her breath. The weight of Liam's words lingered like a tune stuck in her head, replaying the same melody over and over. A date? She barely managed to whisper, her heart thudding in her chest like a bass drum. Yeah, come on, Liam urged, sliding on his ice cream-stained cheerfulness. You two would be perfect. Just think about it. Mark shifted next to her, his eyes serious yet warm. If you want, he said slowly, I'd love to. The warmth from his gaze gave her pause. In that moment, surrounded by the buzz of the night and the lightness of Liam's laughter, Jess felt a flicker of possibility, like a candle lit in the dark. Here was Mark, a steady anchor, offering her something she'd been too afraid to reach out for. Liam perched on his toes, looking from Jessica to Mark like a director waiting for his actors to begin their scene. The beauty of a moment so simple and yet complex unfurled before her. She bit her lip, weighing the thrill that began to rise within her against the gnawing fear of potential heartache and the uncertainty that lay ahead. What if she began hesitating? What if we just hang out as friends for now? No pressure? Mark's expression flickered, a brief shadow passing by. Of course, he said, but his voice held a depth that made her heart ache, a fleeting moment where she saw the deeper feelings reflected in his eyes. Did he want something more? Or was she simply reading into a connection born from their shared burdens? Let us go have some fun, then, Liam exclaimed, innocently interrupting her thoughts. He hopped around, ice cream in hand, clearly excited by their potential shift in dynamics. Jessica chuckled, her heart softened by his childlike glee. All right, let us do this. What's next on the adventure list? Liam's eyes lit up. I saw a park with a carnival nearby. We could go ride the Ferris wheel or win stuffed animals. He gestured animatedly, his ice cream wobbling precariously. Mark fell into step beside Jessica, and their shoulders brushed briefly. It sent a warm shiver down her spine. I'm all in for that. Just don't throw up when you're up high, okay? He shot her a playful grin. Huh, I'll try. Jessica laughed, her anxiety slipping just a little as they ambled down the street. the carnival lights flickering like stars overhead. As they reached the park entrance, the vibrant colors of the carnival pulled them in like a magnetic force. Music pulsed in the air, a blend of laughter and excitement. Each ride swayed and spun, filled with the sounds of joy echoing in the twilight. First, the Ferris wheel, Liam shouted, dashing ahead like a spark of energy. Jessica and Mark followed behind, stepping over the scattered popcorn and cotton candy wrappers that littered the ground. The towering wheel loomed ahead, a bright beacon in the night. As they climbed into their carriage, Jessica felt a mixture of exhilaration and nervous anticipation. "It's so high up," Liam squealed, adjusting his baseball cap, completely unbothered. "This will be great," Mark said, looking at Jessica, his eyes wide with excitement. As the ride began, they slowly ascended into the night sky. The world below shrank, and in that moment, Jessica realized how her heart raced not just from the height, but from the closeness of Mark beside her. The gentle sway of the wheel felt like a playful tease, propelling her into an adventure filled with potential. But as they hovered above the carnival, the stars dizzying in their splendor, Jessica felt a twinge of something else too, a deeper fear of what awaited them at the peak of this emotional climb. "Have you ever thought about how scary and beautiful it is up here?" she asked, glancing at Mark, who nodded in agreement, his face serious now against the whimsy of the carnival. "Yeah," he said softly, "kind of like life, don't you think?" Jessica's heart lurched at his words. Was he suggesting something deeper? What if this moment could change everything they knew? As they reached the apex, the view sprawling out behind them like a promise held in the night sky, Jessica realized she had a decision to make. Would she step into the unknown, embrace the possibility of all this meant, or would she let the fear of falling hold her back? The carnival lights twinkled below them as she took a deep breath, searching for her voice amid the sounds of laughter drifting on the breeze. In that pregnant pause, one question hung in the air, free and floating between them. "Are you ready for what's at the top?" And as the Ferris wheel began its slow descent, Jessica's heart raced, teetering on the brink of a choice that just might change everything. The ride dipped and swayed, each movement pulling Jessica closer to the edge of her emotions. The dazzling lights of the carnival blurred into a colorful haze as the world rotated below them, but Jess's focus stayed locked on Mark. His eyes sparkled in the dim light, the corners of his mouth curled in a soft smile. It felt like they were suspended in an unspoken agreement, a fragile truce between risk and safety. Jessica's heart thudded louder, drowning out the sounds of laughter that echoed beneath them. The horizon stretched, a canvas painted with the fiery colors of dusk, and for a moment, it felt like they were the only two people in the universe. Both attractions, the thrill of the Ferris wheel and the potential of the unknown between them, pulled at her like gravity. "Jess?" Mark's voice broke through her swirl of thoughts. His expression turned serious, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his features. "What's going through your mind?" She swallowed hard, words clashing together like fireworks inside her. The weight of his question anchored her back to reality. "I'm just scared, I guess." Her voice trembled slightly, surprising her. "What if this all goes wrong?" Mark nodded slowly, the understanding in his expression softening the edges of her worry. "Yeah, I get that. We never really know how things will turn out, do we? But avoiding it all doesn't mean it won't hurt." His honesty caught Jessica off guard. She could see his own hesitations, the fear lurking behind his facade of confidence. In that moment, she felt a connection deepen, as if they shared a silent promise to face whatever might come next together. Their carriage reached the top, and they paused, suspended for a heartbeat above the carnival. The skyline stretched beneath them, a world of lights and laughter below, while their hearts beat in time, both exhilarated and terrified. "Look at everything." Liam's voice pulled them from their reverie. He pointed excitedly at a roller coaster zipping along its tracks. "It's so cool from up here." Jessica chuckled, thankful for the distraction. It reminded her of the joys that life had to offer, the thrill of being scared, the split-second rush of adrenaline. "Liam, you're right. It's kind of like being at the edge of something great." "Exactly." He grinned wider, his iced treat forgotten in the excitement. Jessica turned back to Mark, feeling the warmth of shared fears blend into something more hopeful. "Do you think it's worth the risk?" Mark looked at her, his gaze intense yet open, like a door waiting to be pushed. I think it's worth exploring. Even if it's scary, we can take it one step at a time, right? Just see where it leads. The depth of his words resonated deep within her. Maybe there was no perfect time. Maybe every moment was inherently risky. And if she didn't take this leap, she might never know the possibilities that lay ahead as they began their descent. Jessica felt the rush of excitement mixed with a new resolve. The lights sparkled brighter, the music felt more alive, and in her chest, a sense of adventure was igniting. "Okay," she said, her voice strong and steady. "Let us see where this goes then." Mark's smile broadened, a soft light blooming in his eyes. "I'm in." The ground came closer as the ride wound down, and Jessica felt her heart fill with warmth. It was more than just the thrill of the ride. It was the promise of something new, standing on the edge of friendship, looking out into possibility. But just as the ride came to a halt and their feet touched solid ground, Jessica noticed something in the distance. A figure standing near the edge of the carnival, shadowed in the flickering lights, suddenly felt too familiar, a flash of recognition rippling through her as her breath caught in her throat. "Wait," she whispered, eyes wide. "Is that?" Before she could finish, the figure turned, revealing a known face that sent a tidal wave of emotions crashing over her. How would this unanticipated encounter change everything? Jessica's heart raced, a mix of disbelief and dread flooding her senses. The familiar face illuminated by the carnival lights stood just a few yards away, a silhouette of memories she thought she could leave behind. It was Ryan, her ex-boyfriend, the one who brought out both her highest highs and crushing lows. "Jess?" Mark's voice broke through her whirlwind of emotions, but she barely registered it. All she could do was stare, her mind racing to make sense of what this all meant. "Mark, I need a second," she finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. Without waiting for a response, she stepped away from the Ferris wheel platform, her heart pounding louder with every step. The festive sounds of the carnival felt miles away, as if she were walking in a different world. "Jessica?" Ryan called, his voice both hesitant and familiar. She instinctively halted, torn between the comfort of the past and the uncertainty of today. "Why are you here?" she asked, the words spilling out with more force than she'd intended. Memories of laughter and love clashed with the pain that followed. "I was just passing through. Thought I'd come to check it out," Ryan replied, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, shifting awkwardly. "We haven't talked in a while. Wanted to see how you've been." Her stomach twisted. The weight of those words felt like a chasm between them, a gap filled with unspoken apologies, lost dreams, and unresolved feelings. I'm doing fine. Really. Just enjoying the carnival," she stammered. The temperature dipped slightly, but the shifting emotions stirred a warmth inside her. "Look, I know things ended badly. I didn't handle it well," Ryan said, his expression softening, the usual bravado replaced with an earnestness that caught her off guard. "I want to apologize. I never meant to hurt you." Jessica felt a wave of emotions crash over her: anger, sadness, and an unwelcome flicker of hope. "Apologies don't change the past," she replied, crossing her arms defensively, but her voice lacked conviction. "I know, and I'm not expecting things to go back to how they were. I want you to know I've changed. I've been thinking a lot about us." The statement hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years. Just as she contemplated what to say, Mark appeared behind her, his presence a comforting reminder of her recent resolve. He looked between them, his brows furrowed with concern. "Everything okay?" he asked softly, the camaraderie they'd just built overshadowed by the tension in the air. Jessica glanced at Ryan, then back at Mark. The warmth in Mark's eyes contrasted sharply with the cold knot in her stomach. "I need a moment," she said, uncertainty flooding her voice. Mark hesitated but nodded. "I'll be right over there," he said, casting a wary glance at Ryan before stepping back, giving her the space she didn't know if she wanted or needed. "So what happens now?" Ryan's voice pulled her back, questioning yet hopeful. Jessica felt trapped, pulled in two directions, one leading back to the warmth of familiarity with Ryan, the other toward the fresh possibility with Mark. The fairy tale carnival lights glimmered above her, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside. "I can't keep going around in circles," she confessed, her breath hitching. "Not again." The reality of her words hit hard. Every connection had a risk, every choice a consequence. Did she plunge into the past, or did she embrace the uncertain future ahead with Mark? Before she could answer that for herself, Ryan stepped closer, pleading through his gaze. I just want a chance to show you I've changed. Jessica's heart ached. Could she dare to believe him? Or would she let this moment slip away? Silence enveloped them, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Just as she was about to make a choice, laughter erupted from the crowd, momentarily distracting her. Above the laughter and lights, inside her heart, she felt chaos reigned. Jessica, Ryan urged, but the weight of expectation threatened to pull her under. What would she decide? With a choice to make, the path before her felt like a tightrope, one side a familiar stumble, the other a leap into the unknown. Wait, what do I really want? She whispered, glancing between the two faces who represented everything she could desire or fear. The answer felt just out of reach. Would she ever find the courage to leap into the mystery that lay ahead, or would she be trapped in the spiral of what once was? Jessica's breath caught in her chest as she stood there, lost in a maelstrom of emotions. The carnival lights twinkled all around her, casting fleeting shadows against the backdrop of her confusion. Time seemed to slow, the laughter from nearby rides fading into a gentle hum. Ryan's gaze held something earnest, something raw. Jess, I know you're scared, but I'm here. Just hear me out, he pleaded, the distance between them closing with each word. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears. She had spent countless nights trying to forget the way he had made her feel both cherished and wounded. Memories of late-night talks, shared dreams, and whispered secrets bubbled up, threatening to drown her resolve. But alongside those beautiful memories were tears, heartache, and the feeling of abandonment when everything fell apart. I've missed you, Ryan added quietly. The vulnerability in his words shifted something deep within her. Did she miss him? Or was she just clinging to the idea of what they once had? For a moment, she closed her eyes, shutting out the vibrant carnival around her, the sounds of excited children and music blending into a distant blur. She pictured Mark, his laughter, the way he made her feel seen and understood. She had begun to carve a fresh path for herself, unearthing new joys during what felt like a healing journey. A single tear slipped down her cheek, and she quickly brushed it away, feeling exposed. I can't pretend it didn't hurt, Ryan. I can't go back to the pain that followed. His expression faltered, as if her words had struck a chord. I know. I can't change the past, but I can show you the love I should have given. You're more than a mistake to me. It was like a wall had been pulled down, and Jessica could see straight into his soul. The question hung heavy between them. Could forgiveness build a bridge where once there was only a chasm? Before she could respond, Mark's concerned voice cut through the air. Jessica, if you need some space, he said, inching closer again, gauging the atmosphere. No, she said, turning to him with a clarity she hadn't felt moments ago. I need to figure this out with Ryan first. The tension in her chest loosened slightly at her confession. Mark's brow furrowed, and disappointment flickered across his face. But he nodded, respected her choice. A glimpse of solidarity shone in his eyes, even as he stepped back again. Jessica faced Ryan, a newfound firmness settling in her stance. You say you've changed, but what does that really mean? How do I know this isn't just the same old song in a new dance? Ryan held her gaze, a look of desperation merging with sincerity. I've spent this time working on myself. Therapy, honest conversations. I've discovered how to acknowledge my flaws, and I want to take responsibility for the hurt I caused. It hasn't been easy, but I want to be better if you'll let me. Her heart pounded. Was she willing to open that door again? Would her heart risk the fall into unknown waters? Or would she anchor herself in the safety she'd begun to know with Mark? Jessica, Ryan said softly again. The way her name rolled off his tongue ignited a flicker of warmth. But as she looked back at Mark, standing at a distance, that warmth felt both inviting and dangerous. I need to think, she said finally, her voice steady, though internally she battled a storm of thoughts. I can't make a decision now, especially not with everything that's at stake. Ryan nodded slowly, respect etched into his features. I understand. Take all the time you need. As she watched him step back, Jessica felt the weight of indecision settle heavily in the pit of her stomach. She glanced at Mark once more, his eyes now filled with uncertainty and hurt. Would he understand? Would Ryan's confession pull her back into a storm she avoided for years? A kaleidoscope of emotions swirled, and with them, the question she feared to confront more than anything. What if stepping back into the past only led to more pain? The lights of the carnival flickered as laughter rang out again, inviting yet mocking. Jessica took a deep breath, aware that every moment from here on held the potential for change, for heartache, or even for a new beginning. But could she gather the courage to truly choose? With those thoughts racing through her mind, she felt the impending wave of choice crashing closer, more intense than before. It wasn't just a choice between Ryan or Mark, it was a decision that could redefine who she was. The world blurred around her, and just as she opened her mouth to speak, a shout echoed across the fairgrounds. "Hey, watch this." She turned toward the noise. In that moment of distraction, a sudden surge of uncertainty flooded back. Opportunities could change everything, or lead to nowhere. The answer loomed just outside her grasp. Jessica. Ryan urged again, but as she looked for clarity, everything felt like it was spiraling. What would happen next? Would she finally step into the light, or let the shadows consume her once more? Jessica took a deep breath, steadying herself as the noise from the carnival swirled around her. The vibrant colors and sounds of joyous laughter suddenly felt jarring. She could feel both Ryan and Mark's eyes on her, waiting for her next move. The anticipation hung thick in the air like the sweet scent of cotton candy that brushed past her. The shout that had cut through her moment of reflection was coming from a group of teenagers nearby, eagerly vying for the attention of a clown juggling flaming torches. She watched them for a second, and it struck her how carefree they were, how simple their joy seemed compared to the tangled mess of emotions swirling within her. "Hey, Jess." Mark finally broke the silence, his voice gentle but firm. "You okay?" He took a step closer, his concern palpable. Jessica turned to him, searching for words that reflected the storm inside her. I'm trying to figure things out." Ryan cleared his throat, stepping forward again, as if trying to bridge the gap Mark had created. "It's okay to take your time. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I mean what I said." His voice was steady, but Jessica could see the vulnerability beneath the surface. "I don't even know what I want anymore," she confessed, the truth spilling out before she could catch it. With each word, she felt lighter and heavier at the same time. "I've spent the last few months learning to heal from everything we had. And here you are, tempting me to open that door again." The weight of her honesty hung in the air. Mark looked at her uncertainly, but it was Ryan's reaction that struck her. His jaw clenched, and for a split second, she saw a flicker of the boy she had once loved, the boy who had made mistakes, but had also brought her so much joy. "I get it. I don't expect you to rush. But it feels like maybe we could try for something new," Ryan suggested, a glimmer of hope lighting his eyes. "We're both different now, Jess. We can create better memories. We can learn. Together." Jessica's heart raced. Ryan's words resonated deep within her, stirring up buried feelings she thought she had let go. But alongside that was the echo of Mark's gentle presence, his reassuring smile, the way he spoke to her, as if she was the only person in the world. "Mark," she started, feeling the panic surging again. She turned to him, wanting so desperately to reach out, to offer reassurance despite her swirling emotions. "I don't want to hurt you. You've been my safety net. I appreciate everything you've brought into my life." Mark's face was a careful mask, but she could still see the struggle behind his eyes, the slight tension in his shoulders. He nodded, though, pressing his lips together. "I don't want to be the reason you feel trapped. Just be honest with yourself. That's all I want." Tears threatened to spill over as Jessica looked between the two men. The stakes felt impossibly high. Taking a step in Ryan's direction felt like reaching for a burning flame, while retreating toward Mark felt like stepping into comforting arms. "Maybe we could all just take a step back for a moment. Just to breathe?" Jessica suggested, trying to rein in the chaos. "I feel like I'm being pulled in so many directions. I need clarity." Both men regarded her carefully, weighing the request. "Sure," Ryan said softly. "Whatever you need." Mark walked a little further back, giving her space while still keeping a watchful eye. And as Jessica stood there, the carnival lights blinked around her like a pulse, the laughter and cheers blending into a distant echo. For once, though, she felt a strange sense of freedom amidst her fear. Maybe this was the moment she needed, one where she could choose not just between them, but for herself. Just then, laughter erupted again from nearby as someone won a prize, and she looked over to see a little girl clutching a giant teddy bear. That it struck her in that moment. Happiness didn't come from choosing a person. It came from choosing to be true to what she really wanted. But before she could gather her thoughts into a clearer picture, the sound of clapping drew her attention again. "Jessica!" shouted a random stranger jubilantly in the crowd. "Try the Ferris wheel. You won't regret it." Her heart skipped a beat. Could she really use this ride as a moment to find some clarity? And as she glanced between Ryan and Mark, an idea began to form. What if she used a little bit of chaos to cut through the confusion? Maybe I should take that ride. As she said it, she felt the mood shift. Could this be the moment that set everything in motion? Would the Ferris wheel bring her closer to an answer, or only deepen her dilemma? The answer awaited her at the top, hovering in the air, and the carnival continued bustling around them, alive and vibrant, just like her choices. Would she be brave enough to find her truth among the lights? The night buzzed with anticipation as Jessica stood at the edge of her decisions, each heartbeat like a countdown to clarity. The mesmerizing carnival lights glimmered above, casting a kaleidoscope of colors that barely touched the turmoil within her. Behind her, Ryan's earnest gaze felt like a tether to past emotions, wild and deep. In front of her stood Mark, embodying safety and understanding, his presence a cascade of warmth she had unexpectedly come to rely on. "Maybe I should take that ride," Jessica finally said, her voice steadied by a newfound determination. Both men watched her with expressions woven from hope and trepidation. "What do you think?" she continued, seeking validation in their eyes. What if the Ferris wheel would help her disentangle the threads of her heart? Ryan stepped forward, his lips curling into an encouraging smile. "That sounds fun. It's the perfect way to clear your head." Mark's hesitant nod matched the unease swelling in the air, but his eyes sparkled with an understanding that resonated. "I'm all for it, Jess. Whatever helps you find the clarity you seek." His sincerity made her heart flutter. They moved toward the Ferris wheel, Jessica's stomach filled with nervous anticipation. It felt a little like jumping into an unknown pool, excited yet terrified about the impending plunge. The towering structure loomed over them, a symbol of choices yet to be made, futures yet to unfold. As they boarded the wheel, Jessica slid into her seat, placing herself between the two men. The cabin creaked softly as they began to rise, and she felt a rush sweep through her, the environment shifting from a canvas of noise to a secluded oasis high above the chaos. "Look at the view." Liam's shout echoed in her memories. He would have loved the sight. The carnival spread beneath them, vibrant and alive. The sounds of laughter and amusement blended into a gentler hum as they reached the apex. Jessica drew a breath that filled her lungs with both fear and hope. The world stretched out beneath her, a tapestry woven from joy and sadness. Beneath the shimmer of party lights, she noticed the shifting shadows of her past and present. The moment felt infinite. She turned to Ryan first, seeking the truth in his eyes. "You know, I thought I had closure when we ended. But seeing you here, it awakens a longing I didn't realize was still alive." Her words hung in the air like a glimmering thread, precious and fragile. Ryan's smile dimmed into something more serious. "I'm sorry for what I didn't give you then," he said, voice thick with emotion. "But I want to be better. Would you be willing to let me prove it?" Jessica's heart quivered. It would have been easy to be swept away by those familiar feelings, to push away the pain of old memories and dive back in. But as she glanced sideways at Mark, she found a different kind of steadiness. "What about you, Mark? You've offered me something I didn't think I deserved. Would I ruin our connection by exploring something with Ryan?" Mark shifted, the breeze brushing through his hair, revealing vulnerability beneath his calm demeanor. "I want you to be happy, Jessica, even if that means letting you go or choosing someone else. But know this, I believe in what we could create together too." He leaned in closer, his voice almost a whisper. "Whatever you choose, I'll always support you. Just be honest with yourself." As the Ferris wheel reached its peak, Jessica's heart raced as she faced both men. She could almost hear the echoes of Liam's laughter mingling with her memories of love and loss. She felt the weight of the moment, anchoring her once more in reality. "Choose happily, Jessica," she whispered to herself, Recognizing the truth, she had forgotten every path came with uncertainty. But embracing that fear didn't mean sacrificing herself. It meant honoring the journey she had taken to get to this point. Take a chance, came an inner voice, echoing the gentle encouragement Liam had once given. Finally, with resolute strength, she turned to Ryan and admitted, "It scares me to think about rekindling what we had." Pain doesn't just fade away. But there was something within her that craved closure, wanted to explore what could be. "Don't worry," he said, earnest as ever. "We'll do it at your pace. As friends first." She turned to Mark then, the warmth between them undeniable. "And with you, I feel safe to explore my own heart. You've shown me kindness, and I don't take that lightly." Jessica reached for his hand, feeling the connection that had blossomed in the chaos. The wheel began to descend, the ground drawing them back with it, as if reality awaited their decisions. "I can't promise any outcome," she admitted, her voice steady. "But I choose both of you to be part of this journey, at least for now. I want to explore what it means to be connected, to love, to laugh again, with no pressure for perfection." As they disembarked, Ryan's face broached a smile he held back, and Mark's relief was palpable. The air shimmered with anticipation of possibilities, each heartbeat heralding a fresh start. "Let us take it one day at a time," Jessica said, her heart racing with hope. "We'll find out together what comes next." The carnival surged back to life around them, each laugh a symphony of joy, every light affirming the renewed spark in Jessica's heart. Maybe uncertainty wasn't something to fear. Perhaps it was a canvas awaiting their next masterpiece, a journey of rediscovery amidst the swirling colors of life. And as laughter echoed around them, Jessica felt something shift within. It was hope, and for the first time in a long time, it felt magnificent. Now, as this incredible journey reaches its end, we invite you to be a part of what's next. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this journey alive. We want to hear your thoughts, comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.